ETM Hotel, Ernie Sean, welcome in peace. My name is Sean. Appreciate those who will be tuned in to the live stream and or catching it on replay if you watch it. Don't really expect too many people in, but hey, we're gonna deal with what we get. Um, so today we're gonna be talking about the fall of Old Oyo. And let me see if I am sharing my screen. Probably not. Give me a second and let me share my screen. And let's go.
History is a clock that people use to tell the political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the mountain to witness geography. History tells the people where they have been, what they have been, where they are, what they are.
If we stand tall, it's because we stand on the shoulders of many ancestors. So today I'm gonna provide my research question, my hypothesis, methods, research results of research, conclusion, and of course my sources. I'm not gonna hold everybody up. I'm gonna pretty much just get into the bill. Uh, Please like the show, share the show, tell a friend, anyone that could be interested in the conversation. Of course, uh, we appreciate any support that we actually get, whether it's few or many. So today's research question is, what caused the fall of Old Oyo? Of course. Could Old Oyo reestablish itself? And are there any lessons to be learned from Old Oyo? My hypothesis. Old Oyo was once a powerful empire. Over time, the power seemed to dwindle based on the influences of outside persuasion. Whether slave trade, warfare, or missionary influence, Oyo must have lost its grips by not being able to maintain structure internally. I believe the influence of the British and their attitude toward abolishing the slave trade also facilitated in the collapse of Old Oyo. And to add to that, if I was to add anything to my hypothesis, I would also say the influence of the Dutch, because there was a ping pong match between the Dutch and the British that actually took place with Old Oyo. Um, in the up and coming presentation, you'll see me elaborate on the actual ping pong method, which uh, which we'll get into at another time. All right, so my methods. In this presentation, I used a collection of sources to gather information to answer my research question. Based on the evidence presented, my conclusion will be influenced by the data available to me during this quest to understand what happened to the old Oyo Empire. We will have a chance to review some primary and secondary sources to help us uncover historically what led to the fall of Old Oyo, but also to help us understand why it took place. The collapse of Old Oyo Empire, with the resulting movement of populations, wars, and political rivalries among successive states, dominated the history of Europe between the 19th century before the establishment of British rule. It had important consequences of the Aj speaking people to the west as well as the Benin Empire to the east. At the beginning of the century, the Yoruba people shared a common language and basically the same culture as reflected in religious and social values and common pantheon, the same monarchical system in which paramount rulers claimed to have originated at Ile Ife, as well as other similar social and political institutions. But they were not united politically. They did not even have a common name for themselves and was only in the process of evolving a written form of language that the name Yoruba, formerly applied only to Oyo, came to be applied to all the Yoruba people. Besides the Oyo, there were the Karu, Sabi, Dasa, Igbado, and Egba to the west. To the south were the Aro, Ijibu, Ikele, and Eleje. I said that correct. At the center were the Ife and the neighbors, the Elegisa and the Owu. To the east were the Ekiti, Ondo, Owo, and Akoko. Each of these spoke a different dialect of Yoruba and had distinguishable subcultural traits. These subcultural groups were organized in kingdoms of varying size and degree of anatomy. Some of the groups were small and compact, and the paramount authority of a single ruler was acknowledged. This was true of the Ife and the Elegisa. Among the Ijibu and the Awujale was paramount, but his power was challenged by the Remo, who claimed a separate identity. Later events, even within the rest of Ijibu, were to demonstrate that the tendency for subordinate towns to grow powerful and claim autonomous status was always present. In Ondo, three principal towns, Ondo, Oluji, and Adanure, each claimed to be autonomous. In the hilly country of the Ekiti, no fewer than 16 towns, often more claimed the status of independent monarchies. The Egba comprised three subgroups, Jibagura, Okenya Ona, and Aki, each under an Oba, but the councils of the Agbani secret society, the royals of the trade guilds, Harakoyi in each town and village, were so peaceful that it has been disputed whether these can properly be called kingdoms. On the periphery of the Yoruba country among the Egbado, Oro, Akoko, Elaje, though there were market towns, the typical monarchical system based on the town and its surrounding districts was lacking in political authority tended to be vested in the village head on the council. Each independent village community claimed its own basis for cultural identity and political autonomy. Of all the subgroups, the Oyo were the largest and they achieved the greatest measure of political and cultural homogeneity. Excuse me, the kingdom outside the capital city and the immediate neighborhood was divided into two main provinces, the western Okun to the right and the eastern Okun Osi to the left and the river Ogun, upper Ogun. The western province was the metropolitan province since it was the larger and more politically powerful. Each had two subordinate districts, the Onko and the Ibarapa in the western province and the Ebola and the Epo in the eastern province. Substantial towns had their own provincial rulers. Some of their statuses of Oba, the titles of some, their traditions and political structures indicate non-Oyo origins, but they all acknowledge the supreme authority of the Alafin. Now, the rulers gathered at Oya every dry season for the king's festival, bringing tribute and gifts of local produce and manufactures for the maintenance of the royal household, and grass for the symbolic act of repairing the palace roof. They were obliged to supply military contingency whenever required to do so. Remember, the supreme authority was the Alafin. It's going to be key moving forward. They did not merely pay homage and annual tribute, they acknowledged the rights of the Alafin and his chiefs and officials to interfere in their day to day administration. In theory, only the Alafin claimed origin at Ife with the right to wear the beaded crowns with fringes and to exercise sovereignty and the judicial power of the life and death over the Oyo people. The Yoruba people had different levels of political allegiance. For day-to-day political life and administration, maintenance of law and order and defense, the effective unit was the autonomous kingdom of independent communities. Then came the subcultural group for the immediate needs of an alliance, common religious festivals, cycle of market days, and the social and economical relationships. Over and above that, there was no pan-Yoruba nationalism or tribalism, but there was a significant consciousness of cultural identity. Oops. Political and military allegiance did not follow ethnic lines. There were many non-Yoruba peoples in Oyo Empire, as there were several Yoruba peoples who owed allegiance to Benin. But in spite of the subcultural differences, the Yoruba emphasized the importance of speaking the same language, worshiping the same gods, and sharing similar political institutions. Throughout the whole country, sovereign power, however achieved, was validated by the reference to an origin at Ife, from where the divine rights of monarchs were believed to have been derived. This ideology acted as a bond of union. With the Oyo kingdom at its core, the old Oyo Empire consisted of a number of kingdoms and states which the Elephine was able to claim uh, suzerainty, whatever that word is, at various times for longer or shorter periods. Serenity. Nah, I didn't misspell that, by the way, y'all. That's how it is in the source. This power seems to have been most effective in neighboring Egba and Egbado, and perhaps in Ignami, Ketu, and the Saba as well. The political sanction and administrative supervision of the Ajele were supplemented by the religious oversight of the priests and Shango. I'm sorry, let me say that right. I don't want to get G checked. Shango, the god of thunder. The god was deified Elohim, the object of royal cult whose worship symbolizes the Elohim's power and spread the expansion of the Oyo Empire. Beyond the Oyo kingdom and its immediate Yoruba neighbors were the tributary states, defeated on the battlefield from time to time, but too distant or too independent to be ruled. These included the eastern parts of the Borgo, the Ibariba, the riverine parts of the Nupe, especially south of the Niger, and the Aja-speaking people. These were areas of military dominance rather than close administrative supervision. Oyo imperial control rested largely on the ability to compel these autonomous states and peoples to pay tribute, to tolerate the occasional envoys, and to supply them to Oyo rule, but rather to create satellites of involuntary allies who were left alone as long as they did not stand in the way of Oyo's economic and external policies. Benin shared plenty of similarities with Oyo politically and socially. Both places claim not merely a common origin of Ife, but in fact a common founder in the mythical hero, Oromia. Now, thus the old Oyo was at the center of the interlocking chain of connections that gives some unity to the history of the whole area between the Volta and the Niger. It was the capital of the formative kingdom, surrounded by vassal and related Yoruba kingdoms, as an emporium for the collective of European manufactured goods from the coast, as well as the cola, indigo, gourds, calabashes, parrots, and other products of the forest belt, and local manufacturers, which were the exchange horses, leather goods, rock salt, and other items from the north. Oyo had wide-ranging economic connections. The peace and prosperity of the whole area depended to a large extent on the existence and stability of the old Oyo Empire. It is not surprising, therefore, that its sudden collapse at the beginning of the 19th century had far-reaching consequences. Among the probability causes of the collapse of the old Oyo Empire, the European trade was hitherto received disproportionate attention. It is sometimes suggested that the dispute between the Elephine and the chiefs was about the control of the European trade. At other times, the blame is put not on quarrels over control of the trade, but on the depression in the slave trade in the closing decades of the 18th century. This depression coincided with the first overt, my apologies, y'all. I gotta update my license. My first overt signs of crisis in the empire, as it suggested that the prosperity of the empire had probably come to depend on the trade, and that a depression therefore caused a fatal economic weakness. All right, so let me go back. In summary, what's going on here is a tussle of the minds. One thinks that one is trying to seek control of the trade. The other one is trying to outmaneuver the other one to move forward. So you will see constant disputes in an area, and especially the attention to detail that had to do pretty much with trade. And this was all happening because the slave trade was closing. So these captured these captured Africans, right? I'm gonna say it like that. These captured Africans were contained in these areas where they can no longer be sold, so they had to do something with them. So in the illegal slave trade area of the 18th century, some could get some of them sold. Others could not get some of them sold. Oh man. Yet again, it suggested that it was not the slave trade as such, but it was abolition. Again, it is suggested that it was not the slave trade as such, but it's abolition that contributed to the catastrophic factor. Excuse the typo. All these conflicting suggestions exaggerate the importance of the European trade in the total economic and the old Oyo Empire and the surrounding states. The economic life depended far more on agriculture, on the cycle of periodic markets for the exchange of agriculture produce and local manufacturers, such as pots, mats, baskets, iron implements, clothes, etc., which were produced regionally. There is a little basis of the assertion that the Oyo derived their wealth largely from the export of slaves. Participation in the European trade brought wealth to individuals, especially along the coast. Hmm, interesting. For old Oyo, the European trade was not important for ammunition. Peep this, which was largely homemade or imported from the north, nor for royal revenue, which came largely from tribute. The coastal trade supplied European manufactured goods, which, with the exception of salt, were luxurious, and its main importance was in generating further trade. Some of these goods must have been valuable in the trade for horses, which was a supreme military importance. It is reasonable to suggest, therefore, that the European trade did not dominate the Oyo Empire to the extent of controlling its destiny. It was a stimuli providing opportunities for expanding the trade which existed before and was independent of the coming of Europeans. This included trade along the main axis leading from Porto Novo and Benin to Oyo, as well as along the lagoons and in the entire series of local markets where European and Sudanese goods were retailed. Until the beginning of the 19th century, Oyo remained military and controlled the developments in southern Dahomey and Porto Novo. It was the Benin Empire, not Oyo, that suffered from the revolt of coastal peoples enriched by the slave trade, and this was because control of the lagoon-borne trade was vital to the trade in the Benin area. Benin lost control of the lagoons and the creeks, and Itsekiri, Ijo, and Ijebu traders who had the canoe men and the naval power which Benin failed to develop. When it was remembered that it was the 18th century that the Oyo Empire reached its greatest expansion and height of the power, the importance of the new role of the Bassaroom. Now, check this out, the Bassaroom is somebody new. The war chiefs and the provisional rulers can be better appreciated. So now we have the Bassaroom, and then remember the Alafin had total power. Peter Morton Williams stresses the ritual importance of the Bazaroon as head of the cult of the king's spiritual double Orun, with the power signifying to the Elohim that he had rejected by the gods. He had been rejected by the gods. Okay, so here comes the Bazaroon. He interjects that the Elohim has been rejected by the gods. We should also emphasize his political power as head of the most powerful lineage of Oyo after the royal lineage, leader of the Oyo Mossi, the state or council of senior chiefs, and administrative head of a ward of the capital city and part of the surrounding district. He was also head of the levy of troops raised in the capital city, as the Okonye was head of the troops raised in the Ikun Osi and the Onbode and the Igboho, head of the troops in Akun Atun and the Kankanfo, head of the cavalry force. It would appear that a good deal of the military expansion and imperial administration of the Oyo Empire in the 18th century depended more on the initiative of these chiefs than on that of the king. So now the Bosaroon and the military got way more power than the Elephant. The Bosaroon, in alliance with the provincial rulers, became the real power in the land, and the Elephant had become virtually only a ritual figure. The military system helped to reinforce the position of the chiefs rather than that of the king. The expansion of the Oyo Empire and its administration, as we have seen, depended more on the cavalry force than on the traditional levies. A cavalry force depended on regular training and horsemanship, perfect over the years. This tended to encourage professionalism in the army and a career of warfare among the chiefs. Furthermore, horses were expensive. They could not be bred in Oyo because of the tsetse fly. They had to be imported regularly from the north and cared for by skilled veterinarians, usually experienced hostile slaves. The king had no monopoly over horses, and owning a horse, like owning a car today, became a status symbol among the chiefs. It was therefore the lineages who controlled the cavalry force, as they could afford the luxury of horses, train their young men in horsemanship, and engage in constant military expeditions. Initially, the Elefine tried to control the cavalry by placing them under not hereditary lineage chiefs, but a group of 70 captains called the Esso, appointed by the king himself, usually from warriors of slave origins with no powerful lineage connections. Their administrative head was a eunuch, the Osi Afa, who deputized for the Alafina the political military matters of the Ona Ifa, deputized for him of the judicial, and the Otun Ifa of religious matters. Their professional head was the Ari Ona Kukenfo, who was also expected to be of slave origin and was forbidden to live in the capital. In the course of the 18th century, however, these checks ceased to be operative and the king gradually lost control of the cavalry force. The slave origin of the Esso became obscure. They developed an esprit de corps of their own and gained recognition as highly respectable notability, next in the rank to Oyo Mesu, who was now assisted and sometimes rivaled in the administration of the wards of the capital. It was not that the Elephine readily accepted such relegations. Yayamba, the Basaroon, in the reign of Ojigi, led three expeditions to conquer Dahomey and parts of the Borgo and Nupe, comes down in tradition as one of the most famous men in Yoruba history. Yet the Elephine Jiberu, who succeeded Ojigi, is reported to have decided to interfere with the selection of the Basaroon because the lineage that had formerly filled the office became as wealthy and great as, or even greater than, the sovereign himself. To deprive a powerful lineage of chieftaincy they regarded as their possession could not have been done without conflict. The new lineage, or perhaps segment of the former lineage, was even less agreeable to monarchy. The Basarum Jambu turned against Jaberu. Gaha, who became a notorious tyrant who dominated the Alafines of the mid 18th century and sent forth to their death within 20 years, was presumably Jambu's grandson. It was also reported that Gaha's son and relations began to occupy strategic positions throughout the empire and to divert tribute meant for the king into their own pockets. Elafine Obidan patiently organized a revolt against the Basaru. The precautions he was reported to have taken of traveling in disguise to intermediaries to help win over the Kakumfo indicated not merely the power of the Basarum, but also to the extent of which the king had been devastated of active participation in political and military organizations. With the support of the Kankonfo, Oyibi, and Ojubu, of the brother of the Basarum who promised the title, the Elefine Abadan overthrew Gaha. Gaha's son and relations, including Ojubu, as well as his leading supporters among the chiefs, were systemically eliminated. The military decline and continued as the military leaders concentrated attention on the internal struggle for power. Nupe was reported to have defeated an Oyo army in 1791. What is more, in about 1797, the Oyo army mutiny in Kankanfo at Funjo joined the Basarum provisional rulers like the Onikoyi, war chiefs like the Owoto and Eso, and the chief Opale of Jabongon to force Elephine Aloye to commit suicide. So now they didn't force the Elephine to commit suicide, unfortunately, all for a power struggle. The Elephine Adibo, who succeeded as Elawo, was without the authority and the power of the king. He accepted the offer of Oj Ogunbambaru, a surviving son of the Basarum Gaha, who tried to rally the chiefs against the Afanja, but his own personal vendetta, the ravages of whom supported the Afanje, were enough to ensure defeat outside of Ilarum. Rebellion was so widespread and the central administration had broken down to such an extent that for several years no successor to the Elefine was appointed. The war chiefs and the provincial rulers began to act as independent sovereigns. Afanje's power grew, especially in the Okun, Osi, and the Ebola provinces. The rising power of the Muslims in Ilarum, which eventually destroyed Afanje himself, must have aided the revival of the monarchy. Gradually, support for the monarchical cause was built up and the monarchy was again established. But even then, several chiefs who resisted subjection to the Elarum chose to collaborate with it in an effort to frustrate the rebirth of the old Oyo monarchy. The argument here is that it is rather sudden collapse of the Oyo monarchy and widespread rebellion were the culmination of a deep-rooted and long-standing struggle for power between the Alafin and the various groups of supporters on the one hand, and the lineage chiefs, provisional rulers, and military leaders of the other, and that the struggle concerned the effective control of the kingdom and empire, and an issue that was wider and much more fundamental than the control of the slave trade. Some argue that the final collapse of the Oyo monarchy had much to do with the Aola and in the influence of the Islam over traditional Yoruba practices culturally. We have already drawn attention to the importance of the cultural ties that bound the Yoruba kingdoms together, and anything that weakened those ties undermined the stability of the Yoruba people, including the Oyo Empire. The earlier history of Islam in Yoruba land is still unknown. Johnson refers to a Nupe Muslim priest admonishing an Alafin as early as the Igboho period, early 16th century. The trade to the north must have encouraged contact with Muslims. It is also this that has led to the Paruke, the traditional leader of the guild of long-distance traders, becoming associated or confused in the various places with the leadership in the Muslim communities. By the 19th century, there was also an Ifa divination chant, which, if the omens pointed to it, enjoined the inquiry to educate his child in the Muslim way, and several persons thus became attached to Islam. Nevertheless, Islam had not yet become a major factor in Yoruba affairs, and it was not responsible for the collapse of the kingdom. But it is important that the Efanje's military revolt because it was allied to three other factors, each with military implications. The leading Yoruba warriors believed in the potency of Muslim charm makers. Mistake. There were prominent wealthy traders among the Yoruba Muslims that there were an importance in the northern trade in horses. Most significant of all were the Muslim Hausa slaves recruited for their skills in the care of horses, and without whom the size of the cavalry force could not be sustained. The restored monarchy at Old Oyo failed to regain the loyalty of the rebellious chiefs, even if the face of the Fulani menace from the Elarim. Many have feared the consequences of giving up the rebellion which had gone so far. There was much suspicion, though, rivalry and internal quarreling that actually took place. These Elafines tried to secure allies abroad, notably the Borgu, but instead of helping to rally the Oyo leaders, this tended to alienate some of them and cause further division. The movement of the people southward was one of the most far-reaching consequences of the collapse of Old Oyo. The semicircle, 60 to 70 miles in radius south of Oyo, was the most thickly populated part of the Yoruba land before the 1800s. By 1830, two-thirds of the area south and southwest of Oyo had become the least populated. Famous towns such as Igboho, Igbeti, Ikoyi, Kisi, Egbon, Irisa, Oje, and several others were destroyed and evacuated. There may have been over 500,000 people involved. The collapse of Oyo left its mark on the development of the Yoruba town in many ways. For in the trials and tribulations of time, the Yoruba made full use of this, their most characteristic social institution. They built new and larger towns and cities that met the need of security and defense, the organization of the food supply, the succor of refugees, and the establishment of the stable political and economic life. As new towns sprang up, the older ones were expanded. Each town tried to become as large, as powerful as possible, often destroying the surrounding villages so as to gather larger populations together at one defensible spot. The new towns fight for survival and the general search for a new political system to replace the broken Oyo kingdom bred rivalry and war. Elarim remained powerful and ambitious. Once Abdul Salim and Shitta, his brother and successor, were firmly established in control, they treated the lineages and supporters of both the Afanje and the Solongbaru with political generosity and admitted their representatives to the Central Council. As towns grew in size, loyalty to political organizations grew. Subcultures were formed, and of course, rivalries would be the birth from differences people had. Missionaries would soon head toward these new towns, preying on non believers and sending in their cavalry to infiltrate and mediate the differences the Yoruba had politically, economically, and otherwise. In Lagos, therefore, the Europeans began to dictate the pace of events, and within 10 years, economic and political power had passed to the British and their agents. But there were limits to the initiative open to the Europeans. Their power was still limited to the coast, and Dahomey and Abakutu could not be dealt with like Lagos. Missionaries arrived in Ibadan early enough to witness the gradual buildup of its power. After the death of Oleole in 1847, Ibadan had stabilized its internal political system. There was to be collective, not personal leadership. Office was to be not hereditary but achieved through promotion as a reward for outstanding abilities shown in war or administration, particularly in war. Thus, the Ibadan power was well established in the eastern half of the Oyo areas. Except for occasional challenges from the Ijai and the Ibarapa, Ibadan from the 1845 onwards turned its attention eastward. In this way, the core of the new Ibadan Empire was created. The local rulers were left in charge of day-to-day administration, but they were obliged to pay tribute and give military service to Ibadan. They also had to support an Ibadan Ajale and his often expensive entourage. Ibadan by the 1870s would emerge as a new old Oyo Empire by increasing its political presence and military might. It, it would should show and prove to be a reliable illustration of the old Oyo. From dominance in the Oyo area, some rulers of Ibadan began to nurse greater ambitions, perhaps to bring old Yoruba land together. Only Egba and the Jibu appear formidable. The Egbe and the Ijibu, of course, would not hear of the Ibadan supremacy and thought they could be bypassed and find other routes to the sea. Their position near the coast had its advantages. By 1883, everyone was tired of fighting. Ibadan gave up its ambitious scheme for dominating all of Yoruba land. There were many reasons for the eventual failure of Ibadan. There was military factor. The alliance against Ibadan was unwieldy. Ibadan's problems were not, however, merely military. It is necessary to explain not why Ibadan was unable to defeat such an alliance, but why there was so much unanimity against Ibadan. This was because the support of the Elephant was necessary to give legitimacy to the Ibadan regime. The resentment was no doubt reinforced by the oppressive nature of the Ibadan's rule. There was also an ethnic factor involved, but this should not be exaggerated. Rivalry among the Yoruba subcultural groups was not always the decisive factor in the power politics of the new time. The failure of Ibadan meant that no satisfactory solution was found to the problem of a new political system to replace the one underpinned by old Oyo, and this created opportunities for the British administration in Lagos. It was not that their wars provoked British intervention, the reasons for and even the timing which were determined largely by external factors. The wars, however, do explain the method of British expansion in Yoruba land. The military intelligence and war maps of Yoruba land, which the British War Office had compiled with missionary cooperation, did not have to be used as the Yoruba wars, and the division among the Yoruba made large-scale conquests unnecessary. The British emerged in the role of peacekeepers, sending missionaries as envoys to negotiate peace terms. In 1886, they succeeded in getting both camps at Imeile and Igbajo to break up, but the war dragged on, especially between Ibadan and Ilarun, Morokiki, and Ife. The British then decided to demonstrate what new capabilities they had acquired for military exploits on land by making an example of the Ijibu in 1892. Only the Ilarun failed to heed the warnings, and the Royal Niger Company dealt with them in 1897. The British thus emerged as the power most able to fill the vacuum left by old Oyo. With this threat in the background, in 1893, they got Oyo, Abakutu, and Ibadan to accept treaties of friendship. which extolled the powers of the Alephine, guaranteed the independence of the Egbe, and permitted the posting of a friendly consul at Ibadan. It was only gradually that the British revealed through individual punitive acts that they were no longer friends or allies, but rulers for more effective and domineering than old Oyo ever was. Conclusion. The fall of Old Oyo had numerous factors that played its existence. Missionaries, manipulation by the Europeans, migration, forming new towns, Islam, and the infighting all played significant parts in the destruction of Old Oyo. The abolition of the slave trade, control of trade routes, and new and old also crippled Oyo's ability to secure its freedom for its royalties. We can learn a lot from Old Oyo, especially when it comes to the political meltdown or the influence of outsiders and the cultural damage religion invoked on its people. Here's my main source. There were some sources inside of my main source, but I didn't have the ability to be able to contract those sources to gather more information, so I stuck where I stayed.
What do you think your ancestors got to use? You think they paid a fair price? Or did they take it, took everything else? History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the map of human geography. History tells of people where they have been, what they have been, where they are, and what they are.
Lafayette, Mandela, beautiful Bouye. It's your favorite warrior Black Panther coming today with a special announcement. Some of y'all know I've been working on the Conscious Community First Pan African Journal for about a year now. And today it's finally finished. This is the proof copy, which is why it has the marking across the front. But I just got the notification on Amazon. It's available. Killmonger's Corner, first ever conscious community and African journal, is here. Got articles by Monica Baruti, Sari Motel, Jawu. Got poetry by my wife. Got poetry by Miss Wright. We got art by Danielle Flowers. Interviews with Uncle Banu, Oba Atayesi Odu Okulanu, Dr. Ma'at. We got, so many great articles in here by a variety of people in the community. Brother Sanev from MBK, we got Brother Sean in here, Brother Kofi's in here. We got so many people, Olutunji Mwamba. Did this because I wanted to show the world that the conscious community has great and bright minds. We're not just a bunch of conspiracy theorists who won't tolerate derogatory phrases anymore, like no-tep and hotepers or hotep N-words or whatever they come up with. We're serious. We're serious. Some of us do serious scholarship, serious research. We're committed. We spend money. We travel. We spend our time. Our family. We sacrifice. This is why I made this journal. $20 on Amazon. I'm gonna put the link in the description below this video. And it's time for you guys to know about the bright minds in this community, what they can do on paper. When you write an article, a book, see this number on the back? It's an ISBN number. ISBN N number, I believe it's called. That makes you immortal. Long after you're gone, people can look up that number and find your work. Long after I'm gone and in the ancestors' realm, people can look at this and say, oh, produce this. So it's important that we show the next generation what scholarship looks like. It's important that we carry on the tradition of Dr. Ben Shekin Job, Theophilo Banga, John Henrik Clark, and others. So that's where I was heading in my mind state while I was making this journal. Shouts out to Brother Ujawu who did the cover. Shouts out to Brother Siri McDougal who gave me the idea. Shouts out to Brother Truth Historian from MBK who gave me the title idea. So shouts out to all those brothers, man. And we we grinding, man, every day. We trying to put out more information for y'all. Mossi Warrior Clan up, Amaran Squad up. Peace to all the brothers that's out there doing their thing. So this is it, family. This is what I've been working for the last year. $20 on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. Peace.
Like Brother Ben just stated, the link is in the description. Um, I don't expect a lot of people to actually support this because it is groundbreaking again, just like the Shemsu Heru research teams work on their research that they put forth. So a lot of people are not too supportive. However, for those who actually claim to support the Mossi Warrior Clan, Black Panther, Kofi Paisa, Aziz, Nahisi, Michael Hope, Amin Marat Ra, Fortune, you know what I'm saying? Uh, the families, the Amin Ra Squad, the Sesh Metal Netcher, Mani Metal Netcher, let me correct myself, as I am a member of that as well. Uh, the Dagger Squad, MBK, Voices of Fire, the Magi Archers, you know what I'm saying? Um, the entire families, you know, um, we're combating misinformation every day. So we would appreciate your support and, purchasing the journal. It is available, it is out. So far, we've had many people already purchase the journal, and hopefully, with this continued support from other networks, we're hopeful support from other networks. We're not just going to hope that they will support this project, but if other networks cling on to and support the journal, then another volume hopefully would pursue this one with more work. As you can see, there's articles I think from Asari Motel, Brother Wujawa, who also assisted on the work, poetry by Sister Alima. I think there was another sister that actually dropped some work on there. You had some artwork that's in there. You have some articles and essays that are actually in there. Kofi Pasa being one of the people who actually wrote an article. I think I wrote maybe two. I don't know if I got both articles in the journal. It's not my selection. It was, I handed him the work. I know Brother Saneb handed in some work. And then what came of that, as you can see from the cover, Sarimo Tips article is called West Africa and the 42 Declarations of Innocence. That is some heat right there that has been quietly on the low. So just from that perspective alone, this is something to actually purchase and copy because he just said West Africa and the 42 Declarations of Innocence. That's some committee stuff, okay? That's the remage that he's talking about when you talk about the 42 Declarations of Innocence. What is it doing way in West Africa? Man, purchase the book. It is in the description. It is in the description. Get the book. Listen, Neb know how his article was. Go tell him he's available to you. He's a continuous writer, Danny, continuous grinding. Let me know. Did I miss the mark? Do I need to improve? Let us know. I mean, we put this out as subject to scrutiny. You can review it. Y'all are our peers, our supporters, and everything, man. We like Brother Ben said, we put a lot of money on the table to do research and to actually bring forth good information to combat the misinformation since it's so easily to sell it. I mean, we could care less, but we actually took the proper steps to make sure that we're securing not only our own legacy, but the legacies of our ancestors and moving the Pentium forward. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to my presentation today, man. I know, other channels are still live at the present moment. It's like 3 or 4 channels that are still live, and it's a lot of information that's going on right now at this particular hour. So, continue to gain knowledge, gain information, man. Take notes from people that you actually are paying attention to, that you would, redeem or seem to be your teachers. So, get the sources, elaborate on that information that they actually provide you. Stay tuned. I don't know if Brother Kofi, I know he on a panel, but he might be doing something else. But Brother Kofi may have something next week. I don't know. I know he's trying to work on this book. He's been really busy. Had a birthday party yesterday for his birthday, ain't here yet, but they had a birthday party celebration for him, surprise. And so his woman been keeping him up. You know what I'm saying? So he a little down right now. He ain't been too vocal. I have. I've been starting mess with everybody, really just telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't like the actual approach, and I understand. And I know some people feel like they may get scarred by whatever, or me saying something could rub people the wrong way. But however, it's got to be said. If the elephant is in the room, why not address it? I don't throw rocks and hide my hands. I actually stand on what I stand for, and my ancestors gonna back me. So I'm not worried about anybody else backing me. My ancestors gonna back me. But shout out to Uncle because he spoke up. Other people spoke up too, and we just paying attention to what's going on out there. So for real, don't let people play on your ignorance, man. Support this journal. It is some good work in there. We even got Baruti in this journal, man. You know what I'm saying? A seasoned teacher, man. A seasoned teacher who has his own African Center school. So Doctor, like he said, Dr. Mott in there, Banu was in there. You know what I'm saying? We got the elder, the other elder in there. I don't want to mess his name up, but hey, it's some serious heat in there, man. So please go to Amazon right now. The link is in the description. It's just $20. It's not gonna beat you up. $20 is not gonna beat you up when you just sit there and gave somebody else tons of money. I mean, I know your rent should be paid. It's not the end of the month officially, but some people probably got paid yesterday. So $20 out of your time. Also, go cop the Shemsu Heru research team work, and support their work because it is groundbreaking work. So we're trying to raise the level of scholarship, or what we would deem as scholarship, reestablish. When we say raise, really, we're just reestablishing what scholarship looked like to our ancestors before this age of ignorance. I'm calling it the age of ignorance. Not all the information is ignorant, but there's a lot more ignorance being promoted than intelligence at this time. So with all due respect to everybody who heard my voice today, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I don't get a lot of support, so I thank y'all for those who do support me, who have read numerous of my articles that I've written before, and who do tune into the live stream when I'm on and can gain some type of information from me. So I appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing, what I'm saying, brothers like Tech, um, Sunil, brother Danny, you know what I mean, going in, brother Jehudi, my aunt. There's some young inquiring minds that are actually coming out. Even people think that I got a problem with ex-architect. I really don't. I just think that the way that it goes is a little bit different than other people's approach. But I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. We all growing. It's good to see that information be conveyed, sometimes live, so you can actually see if we're maturing each week or whatever. But I just want to thank everybody again, man. Y'all stay tuned. More to come. We're still doing work. Expect another powerful article coming from probably Kofi or myself down the line. I have a serious presentation that I'm actually working on called The Birth of Liberia from a West African Perspective. I'm about 10 or 12 slides away from actually completing that with the sources that I have available. I got I got a 2 volume. I got access to a 2 volume book that was written a long time ago. That's like on sale for like $898 right now on Amazon. One of the books that I have in my library that I'm also pulling from as an actual source on that particular presentation I just seen today on Amazon for $598. Another, I got some stuff in the works for that I'm like, wow, these books, are woof through the roof expensive. So not only me, brother Ben's got some books. Kofi's got some books that got some heavy dollar amounts behind them. So we may not. I mean, when we bought the books, we may not have thought that it would be as expensive as they are, but it looks like we made some good investments on some of this stuff. So, if you can improve your library as well, that's where it's at. Remember, Dr. Ben, he left his library. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Clark, he left his library. All of our elders that actually did work in the community and promoted sound methodology and research and actually published things, all had a history with having libraries. If you go back in ancient times, before the equivalent of all this money that was influencing things of that nature, if you go look in the history books and you read, people were trying to get those libraries. Those books were so important in history. So, always remember, man, the knowledge is power. Keep increasing your library, your intelligence, and be aware of what's going on. Don't be afraid to challenge misinformation and speak your mind. If it's something that I said wrong and needs critiquing, I'm not above reproach or critique. I take it how it come. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna bite my lip, throw rocks, and hide my hands if I need to speak up about something that may rub other people wrong. So, fortunately, that's the way I'm built, and that's the way I'm gonna continue to be. I don't know if anybody else on the panel, but if you are, you can unmute. And if you got something to say, man, let it ride.
Oh man, peace, 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 a lot here, man. I'm outside for a minute, man. Yeah, man, just support, like he said, man. Just continue to support us, man. Continue to support, man, the Mossi Warrior Clan. Definitely go out and get that journal. Some powerful work in there. Sean, you got your own already? What up, Will?
No, I don't have mine already. Mine's ordered, so I actually got a few copies
Oh, okay.
of it. So I wanted to make sure because you know what I'm saying. I'm talking about something that I personally wrote is published in a book.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, and that's a big deal for my children because when I move on, my kids can be like, "Well, your granddad wrote this," and my kids can say, "Our great granddad, my great granddad wrote this," which would be your great granddad. So they would have something that they can actually go back to and be like, you know, wow, I have this in my blood, this in my genes. What was he studying at the time? And then not only are we, archiving libraries with all our presentations and things of that nature, but published works. This ain't the first. This is our second between you and me, Kofi. I think this is like Brother Ben's third, because he got two children's books and then this journal right here. So
Mm-hmm.
um, Brother Nahisi got some work coming down the line. I'm in Rock got like 5 books published. Michael Hope got a book published. You know what I'm saying? So we got like uh we got a stable of the majority of the team, the Mossi got published works out, and we know Brother Aziz can easily put some work forward, especially with his French, his Wolof speaking. He's French, so he can translate some things and get it popping for us. But um, man, we just continue to do your work, man. I know you're gonna publish that raw book. You know what I'm saying? We gotta have that.
Yeah,
Community would be blessed to have that, honestly. And
yeah.
maybe one day I might write a whole book.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna get it done, man. I got two more presentations I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna publish one more article. Which I probably do that because I know everybody think it's my birthday. I'm going out of town next week, so my fiance threw a surprise birthday party and got my family together because I was talking about maybe instead of going out of town doing something for my with my family because I never do anything with my family. So she surprised me a week ahead of time because my birthday next week. So we're gonna go out
Yeah.
of town next week. So we did the surprise this week and then this weekend.
Where y'all
uh,
going, bro?
Man, we was. I don't know. We might just end up going to Vicksburg. Not too far. Was going to New Orleans. I had booked the rooms for New Orleans, but you know it's been flooding down there bad, and you know that Hurricane Barry came through there last weekend. I think it was last weekend it came through there, so it's some damage down there. So we may not go that route and go down there. So we probably end up going to Vicksburg if we don't end up going to New Orleans. I'm gonna check first because I really wanted to go to New Orleans. But yeah, so I might drop an article on my birthday, which is the 29th. So I'll probably drop an article and a presentation on my birthday next week. The name of the article is the pouring of libations. You cannot mention libation without mentioning the ancestors. So that's a powerful um um article that I'm doing. It's not gonna be too long. I'm gonna be hitting the points of ancestors a little bit. Libations. I'll be going deep into libations, some things that people may not even know acquired the libation because I know we only particularly know a poem, water, and water is poem for the ancestors. So I'm gonna go pretty deep in there with that article, and then I'll be dropping a presentation on that same day. The Kikuyu birth and death ceremony. I'm gonna drop it because I'm on my birthday. I'm talking about. I mean, it's my birthday, so we're talking about birth. So I'm gonna be talking about birth. We got a birthday and we got a death date. So I'll be going into a presentation. I think it's called the Kikuyu birth and death ceremony, a ritual. So I'll be breaking down uh, the Kikuyu birth. Do they celebrate birthdays? Which they do celebrate birthdays. How that came about. Them ended up giving up one tradition and started selling annual birthdays, adoption into other different clans because they did adopt. And what is a second birth? They got something called a second birth. So I'll be talking about that second birth, the preparation of the birth. I'll be talking about that, and I'll be talking about the preparation of death, how important death is to the Kikuyu people in East Africa. So I'll be dropping that on the 29th, and I may come back Sunday because I supposed to come back if we go out of town. Well, if we going out of town, I don't know which one it is. I'll be back Sunday, so I'll probably be dropping another presentation on the Mossi, which probably be my last one. That I'm gonna go mute for about a month and try to correct these errors that I have in the book and decide if I'm gonna delete two of the chapters because it's 8 chapters in the book, and my last two chapters in the book I'm not too sure with. I'm gonna go back and look at a few things, but I may just X those out. But if I do, those first 5 chapters is gonna be pretty jam impact, and I give my opinion on why I say Ra is everything and we is Ra. So um I don't have a date for that. I want to try to get it out no later than November, early December, but I'm gonna have to stop doing some presentations and writing for me, which I done got a knack for writing. So keep on the lookout for my these articles. But like I said, probably the next month I won't be doing any articles
Now
or any
let me ask you a question real quick.
mm,
You said you just got a knack for writing. Where did that knack come from? I'm curious.
honestly, you've been my motivation. I mean, you've been my motivation. Um
Nah, don't
actually
be blaming me, dude.
No,
Don't
I'm
blame me because
serious.
people gonna think.
I'm serious. I'm just being serious. I'm giving credit where credit due. I mean, I was gonna hit you the other day. Well, actually, I was gonna hit you the other morning, but I knew you was asleep. Tell you how much, man. I've been appreciating you, cause I mean, if it wouldn't be no Kofi Paisa TV without any Harriet Sean California, there wouldn't be numerous of presentations by Kofi Paisa if it wasn't any Harriet Sean California. there wouldn't be no articles by Kofi Paisai if it wasn't for any Harass Sean California. And even in the Corner's book, that article in there, it's got some jewels in there, but I just developed how to actually write properly, how to properly citation certain things. So I just got those down with the last three articles. And each article that you go and look at on my website, you can look at from my first article all the way up to my fifth article that I got out right now. And I'm dropping one more, which I'm proud to have been a man of my word, because I said at the beginning of June, I said on one of the shows, on I think it was on one of your shows, that I was going to drop 6 articles in June and July. I'm going to drop them all the way to August the 2nd. I'm going to drop articles all the way up to August the 2nd. So I kept my word with that. But if you look at each one of those articles, you can see that, okay, this brother is getting better and better and better every time he's write an article. He's getting better. He's getting better. I'm seeing, his writing style is starting to develop. I'm seeing he's understanding more about proper citations and so things. So you're gonna keep seeing it. You're gonna see that a lot. In this last one, I got the pouring of libation. You cannot mention libations without mentioning the ancestors. So you will see that one, and you will see that through the development. Even with the one with what's now, you will see what I'm talking about when you get the book, because I know y'all gonna go support the journal. You'll see the article that I have in there, and you can compare it to the other article. You can see, okay, well, man, he done come a long way, you know what I'm saying, with his writing style. But I mean, I got to give it up to you, even just going back and looking at your articles and the way you write your articles, you know what I'm saying. Uh, so I'm studying, I'm studying you, I'm studying Ben, but like I said, it wouldn't be no Kofi Pie TV without any Harass Sean California. It wouldn't be numerous of presentation without any Harass Sean California. And I just, for those that listen, don't hang around people that cannot motivate you, cannot inspire you, and cannot encourage you um, to go hard. And motivate you to do things or get you out of your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, Sean. For that. I don't have no problem with bigging up a person, you know what I'm saying, that actually did something for me. So you did a whole lot for me, man, and I appreciate that, and that's why I continue to hang around you. That's why I continue to call you my brother from another mother, because shit, you those types of things that I think we all should be surrounded around people that is always inspiring us, is always motivating us, always encouraging us. You know what I'm saying? Always getting us out of our comfort zone. Uh, you know what I'm saying? And putting that quality in where we can invest in ourselves and believe in ourselves. Because I mean, if it wasn't for you, I mean, I wouldn't. Like I said, I wouldn't be doing it, because a lot of times my work I don't think is good enough, and that's the reason why my Ra document, the understanding of Ra, his manifestation book, is not out, because of me not believing in myself and not believing that um it was good. Even though if I can show you at least 30 books I bought, I done spent maybe $1,000 just investing in the book. And I gave you some books that people ain't even seen. You know what I'm saying? The Lord of Ra. I know ain't nobody got the Lord of Ra. The Cult of Ra is another book. It's a few other books I know, a few people that ain't got. They some old books, but they got some jewels in it, man. But let me stop, man. I'm going on a rant, but yeah, just be looking forward, man. Just support us. Just support us and the surrounding families. Because we gonna continue to keep hitting y'all with this work. Those that support. Those that don't, you know what I'm saying? F you, and that's just harsh to say, man. But and don't let these fools out here. And I don't mean stop saying fools, but don't let these people out here trick you, cause they speaking with proper rhetoric and um speaking like they know what they're talking about. Don't let these people fool you when we got these great minds in the community that is doing this groundbreaking work and trying to trick you out um from real information, trying to trick you out from supporting, what I'm saying, supporting these up and coming scholars, man. That's all I got, man.
Hey man, I appreciate the blessing, man. Blessings, man. You always been a humble brother for me, man. Anytime, you know what I'm saying? I needed to confide in you. You always answer the phone, or you would hit me up and be like, you already know I ain't gotta elaborate. You know what I'm saying? So I thank you for everything, but you inspire me too. You know what I mean? So it's that same mutual respect, and you're absolutely correct. We just need to be around people who continue to motivate us to be more than what we are and get out of our comfort zone. And I know I may go about sometimes I go about it the wrong way, but in all honesty and fairness, man, in my own defense, man, I'm only just trying to. You're right. I do have this thing where I'm always pushing or trying to force people to do something. You know what I mean? Because I think that as far as what I've seen in the conversations that I've had in back chats with the SESU for an example, as an example, when we get done with a show and then we expounding on what we just actually reviewed or went over with for the people and the Jews that actually are dropped from every member of the SESU, it's a lot of hidden, a lot of hidden Jews and people who have information that just hasn't put that forward. And to Tepera, I see him in the chat. So we trying to push him off the cliff for a long time, and then finally, I don't man, Kofi gassed him up, and we got some Tepera off the cliff. So we, as far as in order for us to actually treat, because remember there's an illness right now in the community, and in order to treat that illness we need as many people on board with trying to right the ship so that we can bring back and uplift scholarship so that we can move the needle further and advance our people because we're actually stuck. We stuck in a paradigm that we can't wing ourselves out of through mysticisms and beliefs and conspiracy theorists and things of that nature. So I, what I'm saying, I applaud all you brothers, and sisters. I believe, in my mind, it's Sister Emiket. To me, that I always say that's pretty much she a master teacher in her own right because so it's a lot of people. If I'm in a room, I'm in a room with people that are all smarter than me. You know what Uncle always say: if you're in a room full of people you smarter of, you need to get out of the room. I'm in a room with people that are all smarter than me, and I try to pull something from each one of them people, whether they believe it or not. I try to pull something from each one of them and apply it to my daily life and try to improve every day. Sometimes I revert back to being argumentative, or I might force a conversation or some uncomfortability, but I'm doing it for I have my reasons for actually doing what I'm doing because there's some potential that I see in other people. I think that you shouldn't silence your intelligence for no one. You know what I mean? And I think that everybody who actually has a gift should actually put forward that gift because it is useful for the community in order to grow. Like there's a lot of knowledge that can't get out because some people are sitting on it. And let's just be real. And so I gotta be some kind of retarded in order to try to get the information up out of people. So man, like I said, Kof, man, I can't wait to get your book, bro. I'm gonna be one of your number one supporters. I can't be bigger than your fiance because she got you in the arms every day, but God dang it, I'm gonna be right there on the other side of you, man, as much as I can and support in everything that you actually do. And you're right, you my brother, so that's how it's gonna be. So man, I just want to let you know I'm proud of you. You're a raw document, you know what I'm saying? I reviewed it through and through, and then I still go back and just to flick through and just kind of catch what you were saying in there and all those things because I could tell from the first article to this article the growth. So continue, bro. We all go through that because I was looking at some of my old early articles. I like, man, that was horrible. I really put that. I need to get that, grab that, update that, put that back out. But if time permits it. So yeah, I can't wait. Your birthday weekend. If you do drop the article, if you do the presentation, just what I'm saying, I'm gonna be here in full support. I know the rest of the team will be here in full support. and we're gonna make it rock out, man. And please everybody, man, this journal, get the journal, yo. I'm in a journal, yo. Kofi in a journal, yo. Saneb in a journal, yo. You know what I'm saying? We're in a journal with people who already got ISBN numbers. You know, so this is actually our written work from our perspectives that's published. It's the first Pan-African journal in the community. This is a big freaking deal for us. So yeah, I'm gonna ask you to support, man, on everything that I love support because man, we put some effort into our writing styles and being able to even have people even look at our work. So again, man, the link is in the description box. Support us, man. We always supporting other people, man. No, if anything, if you can say anything positive about me, I don't care if you don't like me, if I got on your bad side or anything like that. It doesn't even matter, bro. I have always supported everybody, no matter what. Whether you hate my guts right now, whether you don't care what I'm saying, you don't want to listen to my presentations or anything that have to do with me, you just want to block me out your life, you will never be able to say I didn't support you because I stood up in that support the whole 9 yards. So on that note, we out. Kofi doing this thing, and that's how we rock it. Peace.